California usually leads the country in ridiculousness. As California goes, so goes the nation, is the saying, because so many laws and environmental regulations and insane ideas like paying black people reparations often start in California and then spread to the rest of the country. But surprisingly, this time, California was inspired by another state's stupidity. Just one day after the Colorado Supreme Court, which is, of course, controlled by Democrats, unilaterally declared that Donald Trump's name should not be allowed on the ballot next year, which, of course, will be overturned by the Supreme Court. Then California got the idea, but they didn't want to have Gavin Newsom lead the charge because that would look bad because he may end up facing off against Donald Trump if old Joe ducks out of the race for any number of reasons, or is pushed out, rather, or pushed down the stairs. So the lieutenant governor, his second in command, now is demanding that the state explore every, quote, legal option to remove Donald Trump's name from the 2024 ballot. Democrat operatives in several other states, including New Hampshire, Arizona, and Michigan, also tried and failed to sue to have his name removed from the ballot. But now they're not giving up. And so in Michigan, they are taking that ruling to the Supreme Court, just like they did in Colorado, hoping to have his name removed from the ballot, which, again, will be overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. And a friendly reminder, Donald Trump was acquitted of the insurrection charge, the conspiracy theory that he had anything to do with some of the protesters getting a little carried away on January 6th at the Capitol during his second impeachment trial. And Jack Smith didn't indict him for insurrection or inciting an insurrection. He instead indicted him for conspiracy to defraud the United States government and obstructing an official proceeding. So the Colorado Supreme Court is fabricating crimes and using those as the justification to attempt to remove his name from the ballot. Old Joe's staff finally issued a statement on the ruling saying, Trump poses many threats to our country, the right to choose. They didn't say what, but of course they're talking about the right to conduct sacrifices to Moloch, civil rights, voting rights, and America's standing in the world. But the greatest threat he poses is to our democracy. Voting rights, they say. He poses a threat to America's right to vote. So the Democrats have to prevent us from voting for him. That's saving democracy. Get it? While the Colorado Supreme Court ruling sent shockwaves through what was, well, once America, stunning actual Americans. Democrats, of course, cheered for it. Donald Trump's rivals, some of them reluctantly, only after they were asked about it by reporters, also all denounced the decision. Even though neocon Nikki Haley was thrilled and the Republican establishment was expecting this would happen, some rhinos couldn't even pretend to be upset about it, like Dan Crenshaw, Dan Cringe-Shaw, who, in response to Vivek Ramaswamy pledging to withdraw his name from the Colorado ballot if Donald Trump's name is not included, Crenshaw said maybe he should just withdraw from all the other states too. Vivek then responded, maybe congressmen shouldn't be allowed to trade individual stocks because Crenshaw has made a fortune from what appears to be insider trading because he knows what laws and regulations are coming. And so it looks like he's placing his stock bets in coordination with the very laws that he's going to pass, which is why people like Matt Gaetz have been calling for a ban on members of Congress to be allowed to trade individual stocks. The runner-up, however, for the second worst take next to Joe Biden declaring that Donald Trump poses a threat to voter rights because he wants people to have to show an ID when they vote so that, we actually know who is voting. So Democrats have to take away our right to vote for him, is Congressman Ted Lieu. The Colorado trial court held a trial and made rock-solid findings of fact that Trump engaged in insurrection. Supreme Court would not have any basis, he says, to overrule the findings. The only way that the Supreme Court can overrule is to make the perverse ruling that presidents can engage in insurrection. And while the supposed president of the United States, Joe Biden, continues to get lost on stage, not remembering which way to exit, this is him just last night again in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where he came to appeal to the black voters, getting lost on stage again. There is a cultural insurrection happening in our country on numerous fronts. Of course, one of them being the southern border.
Fox News Alert, I want to give you a live look at what's happening down there in Eagle Pass, Texas, okay? Border agents there are calling this the worst they've ever seen in terms of migrants coming across. And these images are just incredible. You'll remember the people trying to get on the train last week. The people that got on the train, that's who those people are right now that are sitting outside Eagle Pass waiting to get processed. The Border Patrol is completely overwhelmed, and they say they are 260% over capacity at this point, and that's before all of these others come through.
I think it was about 100,000 in the last week. Usually it's about 100,000 a month or 100,000 every 2 weeks, but now it's 100,000 every 7 days of future Democrat voters flooding in through the southern border. And as you know, there's a cultural insurrection occurring in kids' cartoons, with the Marxists covertly using them to indoctrinate kids into LGBTQism through Blue's Clues and Transformers and countless others. The latest example coming from Netflix hit series Coco Melon Lane, where these two residents of Sodom and Gomorrah are dressing their baby toddler, who's a boy, in a tutu in order to enjoy themselves watching him dance around.
Thing that we know about you, you love to get up and dance. How about you break out those moves for your two biggest fans?
This is what they're doing to children, while parents think that they're being occupied by an ordinary cartoon while they're doing laundry or getting dinner ready. They're brainwashing them with this kind of cultural Marxism.
If you're not sure what to choose, think about all the things you like to do. Just be you.
Just be me?
Just put on that dress, Timmy. It'll be our little secret.
When you're trying to decide, think about all the things you like to do. Just be you.
Just be me?
Just wear that dress that Bob and I picked out for you, Timmy, and we'll let you have some ice cream tonight. This is what happens as a result of Conservative Inc. and the Republican Party bending over to the LGBT agenda, and not only just being weak about these kinds of issues, but cozying up with these kinds of people. People like Rob Smith, who was anointed by Charlie Kirk as a Turning Point USA LGBT ambassador. And people like Dave Rubin, who was congratulated by countless Conservative Inc. personalities and news outlets like The Blaze and PragerU after him and his husband bought a couple of babies, something that he was encouraged to do years ago by Charlie Kirk.
I think it's cool you're married. I think it's great, and you should have all the same tax benefits, adopt children. It's great.
No.
Rob Smith, by the way, who just did an 8-minute in-studio interview with CNN, complaining that the Republican Party is still too homophobic after he was heckled by some paleo-conservatives after a Turning Point USA conference over the weekend. He's literally the guy that Charlie Kirk anointed an LGBT ambassador of Turning Point USA and went on a speaking tour with him in order to celebrate how diverse the Republican Party was becoming. All things and more I cover in extreme detail and completely uncensored in my new book, The War on Conservatives. It's not just liberals that we're up against rhinos, neocons, a lot of good stuff in here. If you like watching my videos, you're really going to love reading the book. So order it in paperback from Amazon.com or click the link in the description below and check it out.